Action? All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Another beautiful Wednesday morning. Thank you all for joining us. For those that are first-timers or unfamiliar with 1 Million Cups, it's a national program. And as the 1 Million Cups implies, it's 1 million cups of coffee. The idea is to get entrepreneurs and startups out from behind their desks and out in front of the community, an opportunity to network, see if other people in the community can help you and step up. It's underwritten generously, I might add, by the Kaufman Foundation out of Kansas City. So it's definitely a regional Midwest venture that has since spread nationally. So we're excited to have a chapter right here in town. I see some past speakers here in the audience. That's always great. So thank you all for coming out. This morning I want to introduce today's speaker, or today's presenter. His name is Michael Lukes. He's certainly a friend of the startup community. You may have seen him at TEDx Normal. You may have also seen him throughout the community as he helps a lot of our startup and entrepreneurs with various different tasks, including branding, storytelling, crisis management, content management, you name it. He's here for us, and he's a great asset to have here in the startup community. So Michael, you want to come on up? Thank you. Give Michael a round of applause, folks.
Thanks, guys. And I want to keep this real open, so I want to invite questions right from the start, whether they're about me, my company, or anything within content marketing, branding, personal branding. So I started TrepRep just about a year ago, and TrepRep provides entrepreneurial content for entrepreneurial content. See how I did that? Anyway, so I work with entrepreneurs and small businesses, and it's really where personal branding and business branding intersect. So the companies I work with are anywhere from 1 to 10 people. I work on creating a strategy, usually on a month-by-month basis. I do work with some clients on an hourly basis as well. But this all started back around 2007. I started my first business. It was a really small sports memorabilia website. I actually sold ticket stubs from old games. Really, it was interested in sports memorabilia. Didn't have a budget, but I needed to find a way to market. So I realized there were all these freelance writing websites, and blogging was taking off at that time too. So I started writing and saw instant results. I was invited to go speak at a national conference in Vegas, was published in one of the largest sports memorabilia magazines, and kind of got hooked both on entrepreneurship and on writing content marketing. So from that part, I started to provide these services for other businesses, especially when freelance websites started showing up here and there. Anybody familiar with Fiverr? Any hands? There we go, a few of you. Okay, so Fiverr offers services starting at $5, where entrepreneurs, it's mainly business-to-business services. You can write articles, you can provide graphic design. It's a great place for people to get started. I also did that as well until I got way too busy to provide as much gigs as I was getting for $5. You can only write so many articles for $5 and make it worth your while. So also I graduated from Bradley's entrepreneurship program and started working for Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization. There's only 2 people in the company, so I did all of their media and content, and also started to build my network. So when that job started to become too stressful, I used that network to launch TrepRep. So I initially started working with about 3 or 4 clients, grew that a little, but at this point, about a year into it, I'm in a comfortable place financially, but also my clients are more like part-time jobs. So I've had a lot of trouble scaling the business, which I'm sure a lot of other service-based entrepreneurs have faced as well, is figuring out a way to take those services, scale it, without losing some of my personal touch, some of the things that I can offer to the entrepreneurs. Anybody have any questions about me, my business, or content marketing? I want to provide some value for you guys too, so feel free to raise your hands. Sure.
When you say content marketing, can you explain more exactly what you do?
Sure. So it's anywhere from ghostwriting. So the common month-by-month agreement that I have is usually I will manage somebody's blog, also work with other publishers depending on what their business is. So to give an example, Whitney, do you mind if I use you as an example? Okay, so she's working with, is it kinesthetic learners? So kids who learn while they're exercising. So with someone like her, I would position her as an expert, both with her personal brand and the business as well. So work on creating articles, possibly doing an interview series with different educational experts of why the kinesthetic learning trend is growing and why it's important for certain kids. So then I try to get her in different publications, start her own blog, get her public speaking gigs, anything like that that boosts both her personal brand and business brand at the same time. Any other questions? Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned a personal brand and a business brand. So is that a trend? Is that important? Is that something that people need while they're working, or?
Extremely. So I think a personal brand is important no matter if you're in a larger company, smaller company. People connect with people, not with logos. So I've also worked with companies to help raise up the profiles of the subject matter experts within that specific business. So it's a lot of times if a company has a relationship with a certain publication, I'll work with the individual employees to get them published. Because it looks good when a specific employee, like look at an insurance company, how they branch out and have specific branches of people that they can then promote their brand and that person as a manager, as a representative at a company at the same time. I think no matter what industry you work in, whether it's a big company, small, your personal brand is huge, especially for entrepreneurs. It's really more about you than your personal brand. So that's why a lot of times when you'll see newsletters, especially a trend right now is when you're sending out business newsletters is to send it from your personal email or your business email that's attached to your specific name other than the brand's name, because you want to create that connection with your customers that you're behind the brand you're working with. So that's why a lot of people, all the people I work with don't know it as TrepRep, they know it as working with me, which also makes it really hard when I'm trying to grow and bring other people on, handing them off. That's definitely been a challenge, but it's also been a benefit because they feel really comfortable working with me instead of just the business name. Yes?
So, currently, I am reading a book called Nonprofit Management 101. It's a book of like 50 really brilliant leaders in the industry, I guess the industry or nonprofits or whatever, of all their mistakes and what they've done. All their, I wish I could go back or whatever, if I go back with the knowledge I have now type of stuff.
Okay.
So do you have any like, what not to do? Is there any mistakes that you've made that could?
So in nonprofit management?
No, not,
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
making a reference, so.
Gotcha. So as a business owner, mistakes I've made or just anywhere?
In content building, in like
Gotcha.
the stuff that you put on your website, the things that you put out on social media, stuff like that, like what's a waste of time? What's a, you know what I mean?
Gotcha, yeah. For me, it's not spending enough time on my own. I get caught up in clients and work too much on that side of the business, the things that actually bring in the money, rather than building up myself and my own business. But from the clients I work with, I think it's not having a clear focus or clear goals right at the beginning of their content program. So that's really what I've tried to work with them at. It's still a struggle. A lot of them were like, well, I know I need a blog because everybody tells me I need a blog. I know I need videos because everybody's using YouTube, but they don't really have a goal. Like, okay, are you trying to connect with a certain type of customer, or are you trying to just sell this one product? What exactly are you trying to do? So I think having a clear goal right at the start when you're creating content, because it's going to guide everything. If you want to get new customers, then building an email list is probably going to be more effective than finding guest blog post opportunities at industry trade magazines.
So what's like a big mistake that what's a big mistake that you've made that you can like share with us that we should avoid maybe, that you can think of?
I think so this goes more to content marketing than my journey, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I made both.
I'll take all of it.
Okay. Well, I think so me in my business, it's been taking on these part-time jobs instead of keeping it as a business. I haven't kept that kind of line of distance where it's, you're hiring me as a business versus you're hiring me. And that's made it pretty much impossible to scale until I can get other people on board.
Yeah, Michael, you talked a lot about some of your diverse offerings. Is there a case study that you could share with the crowd here? Maybe some story that really you're able to connect with a client and that sort of kind of illustrate one or two areas that you concentrate in?
Sure. So one of let me tell you just a little bit about some of the clients I work with. One of my favorites is, her name's Shuli Oletsky. She's a business owner of a marine refrigeration company down in Miami, Florida. One of the other things I love about what I do is I get to learn about businesses. I also actually work with Nvidia when they build websites for clients. I get to sit down with them, have no knowledge of their business or industry, and from a series of questions over a couple of weeks, I have to go from knowing nothing to being able to create all the content for their website, which is a lot of fun. But Shuli, so she works with luxury freezers and refrigerators that are going to go onto yachts. So really niche industry, not many customers out there. So we've really worked, we got our guest spot in Huffington Post. So those articles are more focused on other business owners and boat builders. So we're building her personal brand as an expert in the industry and within entrepreneurship, mainly because the importance of connections is so strong. It doesn't need to be directed directly at her target market, just because there is so many benefits from connecting with other entrepreneurs, and that's one of the ways she's run into so many different people, been able to present at different events around the country. I think, did I answer your question at all?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other? Let's get some other questions in here. Sure.
I love the whole personal branding thing, and that's one of the things that in the Innovative Entrepreneurs class we've been working on is, developing that social capital. I mean, that's the whole point of going around to different businesses and doing what we're doing. So can you give the students, because right now they're getting ready to launch their startups, right?
Okay.
So if you were going to give them one big tip for personal branding, something that, you do, can you give them a good tip for personal branding?
Right. As much as you can, as frequently as you can, and send me an email and I'll help edit it for you, especially your first couple posts. So that's something that's definitely benefited me. At the beginning of last year, I came up with a goal that I was going to publish a unique article every single day of the year. And through LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great place to publish your articles, especially if your connections are at all related to your business. Even if they're not, you can help grow your professional network through there. But they have a publishing platform. Once you publish, it notifies everybody in your network that you publish as well. So I worked through those days, and even if I didn't get a lot of benefits from the articles getting out there, getting a lot of connections, I was able to hone my skills as a writer. And also when you're publishing articles, there's a lot of different places you can republish them, different places you can get your content out there. So I'd say really write, get your stuff out there in front of people, receive feedback, and also find other tools and places to publish as well. There's Medium.com is a place you can republish all your articles. You can turn them into videos, put them on YouTube. You can turn them into slides, put them on SlideShare. A lot of different places to spread your content around, and that all helps when you're trying to build up your search engine optimization and get more views to your website as well.
What do you recommend to get better at writing? Like how, and what is good content to write?
Those are two really good questions. So get better at writing, I would say focus more on just being able to get in a headspace where you feel somewhat creative, get all the distractions out, and just write. Don't try to edit it at all. Just go through it and then work with somebody else that has done writing that you're interested in, or somebody that can kind of show you, okay, this is why this might not be received by your target market, or this is how this comes across. Because one of the things I did as a writer where I wasn't that good of a writer in high school. So when I started writing for my business, I thought, okay, I need to be as good as possible. So if you would have put in some of my early articles into a grade scale, there's different tools online that can tell you what grade level you're writing at. I kept trying to get better as a writer. So my grade level would be like 12, 13, which is so much higher than where you want to be. So it's also keeping in mind that you don't just want to be a quality writer. You're not writing a novel. You're trying to connect with actual people, and the average person is going to connect at a lower grade level too.
That's why I was wondering if you just write from the heart. Like sometimes I think about, I don't do it much, but I'd like to get into it more and write like how I think, and just think and act on a daily basis, and doing that in connection with what you're trying to promote. Yes.
And there's a lot of ways you can do that. I really stress being vulnerable. So one of the articles I wrote with Shuli, so she took over the business, and it's Frigibar Industries is the name of the company. She took over the business in late 2010 when her father passed away. I believe it was Lou Gehrig's disease. So she took over the business unexpectedly and went through, so much hurt, so much pain, and it was really hard for her to jump out of a corporate job and start a business. So she wanted to hide that story. I had to work really carefully with her to help her tell that story, because it helps so many other people and it helps people connect with her, because it's a real story. It's something that we all go through. We have, family members that get sick and things that happen in our lives that aren't expected. So many business owners don't go to that level, and it can also be hard to draw a line, but I tried really not to draw that line. Like when I was writing for 180 Days, I wrote about how I had shingles. That was caused by stress. And there were a lot of people that reached out to me randomly that, wow, I had it too, and I would have had no idea otherwise. So I would definitely try to work in parts of yourself, find ways that tie in somehow to your business, and you can pretty much you can tie anything into your business if you work hard. Just think like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, working backwards. You can find some ties that make it relevant to your business. Some other questions? Thank you.
So, with a startup, one of the challenges that I have is that our initial audience is very niche.
Okay.
And
that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. But like some of the advice I've gotten from marketers is like, you need to be maybe going after a bigger audience already, which doesn't feel natural to me yet. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
What is your audience? Do you want to finish?
No. So they're creative online streamers. So people who stream their Photoshop work, Adobe Illustrator, that type of thing. So it's super niche, it's super new, and so it's a challenge to figure out how to market and who to market it to at this stage.
Okay. And what have you done? Have you done anything in that area as far as marketing specifically to them?
So right now we're just doing social media.
Okay.
But I have a newsletter that I put out every week, so I've been considering turning that into a blog.
Okay. And is there any specific level of success that you're reaching for? Is it like the people that already know what they're doing, or is it earlier level within the creative streaming?
Yeah, it's the people that already understand what creative streaming is.
Okay. Then, the way I would tackle that is by providing, especially a lot of free educational content. I would really push that. Whether you're doing a series, and I'm a big fan of interview series, so I work with, one of the companies I work with is the After School app in San Francisco. They're the largest teenage social network for high schools. And one of the things I did with them is they have a huge passion for safety. They really focus on safety, but people didn't really realize this. And they don't necessarily trust the information coming from the company, unfortunately. That's a problem for me. So I created some relationships with not-for-profit organizations and created a social change with technology interview series where I interviewed these other experts. So it's still coming out through our platforms, but through other people's voices that are trusted, and they also get a different perspective from an expert in the area. So you could go about it that way where you interview different experts. You could do the podcast route. Those are a dime a dozen unless you do it the right way, as I'm sure you know. But through interview series, you could create courses on Udemy or other places to help establish yourself as an expert, because the more you can do to say, look, this is all that I've done, and people keep seeing. So really you want your target market customer to see your face everywhere when you're in a niche. And I'm sure you guys have seen this when you're on Facebook and you keep seeing the same person pop up again and again. It gets kind of annoying. But you want to be that because they're focused on getting better within their specific niche. And I would imagine that you would want to create yourself, that you would want to be the thought leader in that space, correct? Is that what you're kind of looking to do, or not as much?
Yeah, I'm not as, and maybe it's not the right direction, but I'm not as focused on being like, I'm the creative streaming guy. I want
why not?
Site. Because essentially we're building a social network.
Okay.
And so I like what you're saying about like the guest blogs, maybe like taking one of our existing streamers and say, hey, why do you get 20 people to your stream every week? Let's write a guest article about that. And I could still write some, but I don't want to be like the James Wedmore of, creative streaming.
Okay. But they need somebody they can connect with. They want to know that somebody on staff is one of them. And if they don't know that, then they're like, forget these guys.
Right.
They might go with a thought leader who's just acting like they have a solo business because, oh, that's me right there. You know, I'll work with you because you know what you're doing. You've been here before. They need someone they can connect with, especially in a niche, because there's probably a lot of people trying to get their attention, and they look at them and say, you know, you're a newbie. You're not one of us.
Right.
So I would have somebody that you can promote as, this is like you, this is where they were able to reach, we can get you there as well through what we're providing.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the things I do now is, I actually interact. I feel like I just kind of did.
No, I asked you.
I interact with them individually every day.
Okay.
So, you know, the people that are using the site, I'm actually interacting with. So they do know me personally.
Okay.
But
and are
I'm
other
looking
people
at,
seeing those interactions?
yeah, I mean, you could say so. Yeah.
Okay. And let's chat a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk to you.
Other questions? Keep this going. It's good stuff, guys.
Wasn't there something else you did besides content? Was there other aspects?
Yes, it's evolved into a lot of different things. So I've also done a lot of PR, especially of late. Yesterday I was in Michigan doing an interview about safety on teen anonymous apps, because that's what the company that I work with, the after school app in San Francisco, that's kind of where their content needs are shifting to more of a PR role. So it's kind of all over the map. Like I said, when I worked for that not-for-profit, there were just 2 of us with 200 student-led chapters around the country and thousands of students in schools. So I kind of learned to do everything. I really still try to focus on the things that I enjoy. There's a lot of things that I can do that I absolutely hate. That's one tip of advice. Don't ever take money for things you don't enjoy doing. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. Like, I'll help somebody move, but there's no way I'm going to take $1 from you, because I don't want that to turn into a job. And I know that might sound stupid, but I'm serious. Don't do that. If you get into that trend of taking money for doing things you hate doing, in a few days you might end up doing it as a job and you'll hate yourself. It happens. Trust me. Other questions? Come on, guys.
Who is your ideal client?
That is a great question. I would say, definitely business to business. I really love that. That's smaller, maybe 1 to 3 people. 1 to 3 people, business to business, in a niche is awesome. The smaller the niche, the better. It really provides a lot more opportunities. So many young entrepreneurs that I've worked with try to focus on everybody at once, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Especially, there's so many ways to connect with people. There's so many different platforms, so many tools, so many podcasts. There's way too many channels to be able to focus on, to have to try to spread your focus across all industries, all people. Other questions? Anything else you'd like to know about me, content?
So how does your work work? Like, when you work with a client, is it all on phone? Is it all online? Do you meet with them? How does that work experience relationship look?
All of the above. I'm really easy to contact through email. I usually set up weekly phone calls. I send monthly updates. I also bill monthly, so I try to work on a month-by-month basis. I don't do contracts. Maybe I should, but it hasn't bit me yet. So usually I have specific deliverables that I will give them every month, and based on their needs, they can kind of shift. In a lot of instances, that has shift. I plan on giving them 7 articles, but instead it changed to 2 podcasts, a video interview, and it's something else.
What do you think? I have a question.
Sure.
Because I listen
you
to
can come.
Social Media Examiner a lot lately.
Okay.
And one of the recent podcasts, they were talking about questioning about blog posts and using the Facebook pages or notes feature now. So I was curious about that.
Yes, I've been using that. A lot. So for Shuli, for Frigibar, the marine refrigeration company, I've been using the Facebook notes and seeing that. So I don't know if you guys know what's going on with Facebook business pages right now, but if you're not boosting your posts, if you're not paying for posts on business pages, they're getting buried. They're getting nothing.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting
Oh, yeah.
maybe 10% of the reach they were before. But the notes, at least so far, I've seen those have had a lot better placement. Maybe 20 times the reach that I get with the other ones. So I have seen that be very good. So it's basically like publishing a blog post within Facebook. It still seems like a thing that a lot of people aren't using, but it's been really good so far, especially for mobile. If you work with any people or if your website's not that great on mobile, I would publish using Facebook Notes and promote that on Twitter and on the other social networks. It's worked pretty good for me so far.
Yeah, but then the downfall is you don't have control if it's Twitter or Facebook, because they can change their mind anytime what they're gonna do, versus if you have your blog post and your email list, that's what you have literal control over.
Correct, and LinkedIn's the same way. If you publish on LinkedIn, it's great for people that are really active on LinkedIn, but you lose a lot of the impact you can have on other SEO channels. So I would really encourage you to republish on different places as well. I once had, so Associated Content is one of the platforms I used to publish on. They got bought by Yahoo for $100 million. A year later, they're out of business. Seems to happen with some things Yahoo buys. Anyways, and I lost, when they closed shop, I lost like 750 articles wiped off the internet. And I had maybe a month's notice to try to get some of those off. So definitely republish in other places. Keep hard copies of your articles, because that content you create, you can use forever. You can repurpose in different ways. So don't just rely on one platform. I would definitely recommend spreading it out. And another tip, if you guys are using YouTube at all, the like hidden monster of your YouTube results is to fill in as much as possible of the video description. So many people are not using that. That's how you get ahead. I mean, it's incredible. So one of my clients I work with, Mike Vini, who also spoke at the TEDx event. He's a mental health speaker. And he started doing this, he got me onto this actually. So he writes blog articles for each YouTube video and puts it in the description. If you search mental health speaker in Google, you click on videos, he'll have 1, 2, 4, and 5. And I think 3 is Herschel Walker, basically a Hall of Fame football running back. For him to be able to beat out somebody with that kind of name recognition is crazy, and I've been able to do that as well. So if you're publishing on YouTube, use as much of the video description as possible. Write a full blog post for that. It's really going to help your SEO results. Help boost your rating. Been working real good. Other questions? Anything about content? Anything about, I know I didn't explain what I do too well, so keep them coming. Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
All right.
All right, folks, real quick, we'll be back again next week. For those that aren't, please get on Twitter, follow us at 1 Million Cups with a 1 Million Cups with BMI. We're also on Facebook as well, a great way to connect with us. See who the upcoming speakers are. Our calendar is pretty much set through about the middle of March, so if anyone has a startup up there, knows anyone in the startup space, entrepreneur, small business that wants to present, definitely reach out to us. We'd love to have that and fill our calendar through spring. So thank you all for coming out. Plenty of networking opportunities for those who want to stick around. Michael will be here a little extra. He's got some business cards if you want to speak to him and see if you can hit him up for some free info. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.
Al, what's it? Hey, great. I don't know if I should stand.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Thank you, Dawn.
I'm with Snyder.
How's it going?
Oh, hang on 1 second, sorry.